Hi there! Welcome to another episode of Get Gardening. I've really been enjoying all these beautiful pansies that I planted last week along my walkway garden. I even decided to add the pot in here to add a little bit of height and some more color in here. I just can't wait for the daffodils and the tulips to start blooming with these. I know it'll look good even when the lupins and the iris bloom. But I've got some work in here to do, so let's get to it. On today's episode, we'll be looking at some of the first flowers that are blooming in my garden. I will be planting a cherry tree in my Japanese garden and doing some spring cleaning in my walkway garden, as well as we'll be looking at some of the beautiful pictures that you guys submitted me of your winter gardens. So join me today and Get Gardening. Here are some beautiful snow crocuses blooming, and some of my earliest gardening memories are of crocuses. I remember my mom had me uncover her rose cones, and when I went to uncover it, there was this beautiful purple flower blooming, and I ran into the house and told her there was a flower blooming, and I just couldn't believe that something was blooming when there was nothing else in flower anywhere around. So I have a special love for crocuses. The snowdrops also are looking wonderful. This is the first year that I have them blooming at this garden, and I can't wait for these to develop into bigger clumps. So there's a mass of them here. But what I have does look really nice at the moment, and the hellebore started to open too. This hellebore has completely fascinated me over the last few days and weeks. I keep coming outside and looking at it, taking pictures of it. It's not an in-your-face kind of plant. It's not drop-dead wow factor kind of plant. It's a pastel rose, but when you look close at it, the sepals have this beautiful veining that almost reminds me of orchid flowers. And I've been utterly enjoying having this hellebore in my garden, and I can't wait to add some more. Another job that I'm working on today is planting this cherry tree. Since I'm having a Japanese garden, I just could not resist the temptation to plant a cherry tree. I've always been fascinated, especially by weeping cherry trees. I love the idea of having a bench here to sit under the cherry blossoms someday. The tree came a little bit earlier than I would have liked, and the roots are not the best. They're a little bit weak, so I don't have tons of hope for this tree, but I figured since it came and I paid for it, let's plant it and see what happens. Hopefully it'll grow, and in a few years it'll be big enough to put a nice little bench over here and sit under it. You know, the Chinese have a proverb that I just love, that the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, the second best time is today. So that's what I've done. I'm going to go ahead and water this in and hope for the best. You guys will be along to see if it makes it. So something I really need to do in the garden here is start cleaning up all the debris and the detritus from last year. It's really one of those spring jobs that I absolutely enjoy doing so much. It's like the garden gets a facelift, and all of a sudden, all the darkness from the winter is lifted, and we get beautiful growth coming through that just looks green and lush and wonderful. So what I'm going to do here is go ahead and start cleaning up this walkway garden, and hopefully you'll see such a transformation when I can show you what it looks like at the end. just a little section over here just to show you what I'm going to be doing. I pull, I cut, I tug, but already it's looking better, and already I can see some daffodils peeking through. And I even see some tulips as well, so super exciting. I'm going to go ahead and keep clearing this bed, and then I'll show you when it's done. I was so overwhelmed by all the pictures of everyone's garden from the winter time. I can't wait to do this again. These next few pictures are from Tony in Indiana. They're so artistic. I really love that twist of wisteria and the dried seed heads of the hydrangea and also of the sedum. Next picture comes from Maine. It's from Nana. She's starting some seeds over winter, so let us know how they do. Roxanne still had some beautiful flowers blooming even back in November. Andrea has some of the most beautiful pictures of winter. I just love the red against that snow. These come all the way from Tangiers, Morocco. I love the plants up against the blue wall, and it shows you that winter is where you are. Lucia had a bachelor button blooming with all that snow, and Slava was able to keep these spinach alive even though we had harsh winters here in Chicago. Monica Katie captured this beautiful picture, and she even has a YouTube channel, so you could check her out. These next two come from my uncle in Arizona. Shows you how different things can be depending on where you live in the world. So look at that beautiful sunset. So glad he was able to share with us. And lastly, I've got a couple pictures that were submitted to me from Mike in Montana. I think the snow with the sun and the blue sky, even the mountain in this one, really look wonderful. Thank you to everyone who participated. You could also go on my Facebook page to see more in-depth pictures from everyone. Thank you so much for sharing your gardens with me. Well, there's part of a day's work. It's by no means perfect, but it's definitely an improvement from where it's at, and it makes me feel like spring. I've got a ton more beds to do in the garden like this. Already in this bed, I can start to see the phlox growing. I see the Rudbeckia herbstone, and I even see some Verbena bonariensis that didn't die over the winter. So that's really exciting. Just seeing the bed all cleaned up really makes me so happy, especially with the pansies. It's a true sign that we're on our way to more spring and more colors coming soon. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys are able to get out there and get gardening. I'll see you next week.